All right, we're back on the Young Turks. Everybody batten down the hatches. We've got some crazy stories for you guys. All right, apparently it's a trend in California. If you're a beauty pageant contestant, you got to be some sort of, I don't know, fill in the blank here, but someone who's going to say terrible things about gays. That's the trend. Miss Beverly Hills, Lauren Ashley, has come out and said some disastrous things about homosexuals. We're going to give you those quotes. First, she says, the Bible says that the marriage is between man and a woman. All right, that starts fairly innocuous. In Leviticus, it says, if man lies with mankind as he would lie with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination, and they shall surely be put to death, and their blood shall be upon them. The Bible is pretty black and white. I feel like God himself created mankind, and he loves everyone, and he has the best for everyone. If he says that having sex with someone of your same gender is going to bring death upon you, that's a pretty stern warning, and he knows more than we do about life. Wow, that's little Lauren's head trying to decipher what's in the Bible. Okay, so Carrie Prejean, you ain't got nothing on her, man. She's going to go over the top of you. She wants that attention. Soak it up. Okay, so she said, oh, media, over here, look at me, look at me. You think Carrie Prejean doesn't like people, gay people? I think they should be put to death. It's a freaking abomination. What are you going to do? It's black and white. It's in the Bible. God said it. But then I love this part. Then she comes back later and says, I have a lot of friends that are gay, and I have a lot of friends who have different views, and we share our views together. There's no hate between me and anyone. I mean, I just want them to die, but outside of that, what's the hate? No hate. I mean, I have gay friends for as long as God doesn't strike them down and they're still alive. Come on. Now, here, Lauren, what I got to tell you is read the whole Bible. In fact, you know what? Just read the rest of Leviticus, okay? Because she quoted Leviticus. She says it's black and white. Well, then the rest of it is black and white. You shall not wear clothing of two different cloths. You know, I don't know, polyester and cotton, for example. Lauren, I'm sure you've never done that. In Beverly Hills, I know you one cloth at a time, okay? But if you have, the Bible's pretty black and white. You got to be put to death. I mean, it's an abomination. Have you ever gone to Red Lobster? Leviticus is very clear. No shellfish. Shrimp, crabs, lobster, you're a dead man, okay? The Bible is black and white. I'm going to argue with the Bible. I'm going to argue with God. God knows better about life than you and I do, Lauren. I sure hope you haven't eaten any shrimp because it is an abomination, okay? It's not that I hate you and I want you to die. I'm friends with you. We're all friends. Everybody's having fun. It's just that the Bible is pretty black and white on it. I can go all day long. You read Leviticus, okay? Read the Bible. It's pretty black and white. That's part of the problem, okay? So it's funny how people have told Lauren Ashley and her little head, hey, you know what? Ignore the stuff about the shrimp. Ignore the stuff about the clothes. Ignore the pigskin. Ignore all the other crazy things inside that same Leviticus. If you just read down 2 lines or read up 2 lines. I read the whole thing, I know, okay? Ignore all that. But the part about gays, let's talk about how they should die. But what, me hate anyone? What are you talking about? No. I just randomly selected those passages. I could have been the shrimp. It just kind of, oh, look at that. God says, hey, gay people. Okay, now she's not done yet. Give me attention. She is basically challenging the media because, you know, Carrie Prejean turned out to have sex tapes, so that hurt her credibility a little bit. But Lauren is convinced that that's not going to happen to her. She's 23 years old, but she says she's a virgin. Oh, that's going to get disproved so quickly. I don't know. Maybe she is. Maybe, you know, who knows, right? But here's what her quote is. I don't drink alcohol, and I don't smoke weed or cigarettes. I like how weed got into this. My definition of partying is a little different. I feel like my body is the temple of God. Take it easy with that. Man, she's full of herself. It's the temple of God, and it's my temple, so it's really good to treat it well. I also feel like sex was made for marriage. You really show your future husband or wife respect, and you build a lot of trust before you get married. You don't have sex with other people, so that should definitely build trust because you waited. Unless, of course, they didn't wait, and they had sex with like 28 other people, and then you were like, yeah, oopsie-doopsie, we didn't build trust with you. Hey, by the way, in that picture, she looks a little, you know, she's packing some heat downstairs. You know, I don't mean up front, I mean in the backside. There's a little junk in that trunk. Okay, all right, but I'm just being an ass. I don't think she's that hot. I mean, everybody's with me, right?
I was trying to avoid that because, we're supposed to be talking about the stuff that she's saying, but she's a beauty queen, right?
Yeah.
The first word of that was beauty of the queen.
Yeah. Maybe you know what it is? Maybe she didn't win the beauty queen. Maybe she won drama queen. So she just got it mixed up and stuff. She's right around the corner. Beverly Hills is right there, right? Maybe we'll run into her one day. Well, I'm at my fancy diners, right? I'll be like, oh, there's Larry King. Oh, Lauren Ashley. Ah, yeah, I gay people too. Yeah, right back at you. Okay. Anyway, look, to me, the whole I'm a virgin and I'm a temple of God and I think gay people should be killed because it's in the Bible, it's all an enormous cry for attention. And maybe, and the reason I brought up her looks, partly because we were all thinking it, but partly because maybe she thinks that's my one shot to win. I ain't going to win this thing on my merits. So let me go Temple of God and see how that works out for me. Okay, well, good luck with that strategy. All right. Now, speaking of duplicitous women in the news, it's just a totally random story for you guys before we get back to politics. This drove me crazy. Brian Unger mentioned this yesterday on the show, and I read an article about it in the LA Times today. This Jocelyn James, a porn star, she was theoretically one of Tiger Woods' mistresses. Who really was, who wasn't, we don't really know. But she did a press conference with Gloria Allred, who's also right across the street. She has an office over there. And there isn't a press conference that Gloria Allred didn't fall in love with. Okay. If she sees a camera in the street, she tackles it. She's like that. Well, who's that guy that used to do those commercials? Tate? Something Tate? When he goes and tackles the guys? Terry Tate, yeah. That's Gloria Allred with a camera. Don't let her in here, man. She comes in here, she'll take all these cameras, boom, right? And I'm making out with them and stuff. Okay, anyway, that was weird and disgusting. Okay, so she's out there with her new client, Jocelyn James. I don't know what I guess they're looking to get paid. And Jocelyn says that she feels burned by Tiger Woods' apology. Really. He seemed to apologize to the entire Western world and Eastern world and Buddha and everybody else. Well, she feels left out because she's the one person who didn't get an apology. She says, quote, I would be open to a telephone apology from Tiger, but I really feel that I deserve to look at him in person, face to face, in his eyes, because I didn't deserve this. She starts crying. Okay, you're a porn star. You're a porn star. And you were a mistress to a guy you knew was married. And you tell me, oh, I didn't deserve this. I was filleting him. And then all of a sudden, he betrays me with his wife. All right, I have to deal with it a lot, she continues, and too much from him. Because of him. He knows I was very straight and honest with him, but for a long time, he lied to me. Tiger pursued me, and over time, I fell in love with him. And he told me he loved me, too. And it turns out I was just one of his bitches. One of his honeys on the side. Turns out he's dating like 8 other porn stars. Brian mentioned this. We can't show this to you, right? But there's a tape of her online holding 2 penises at once. Okay. And she's like, no, watch me go to work on these. Okay. Meanwhile, she's like, Tiger, I feel really burned by you. I wish you'd have called me face to face. Okay. Or called me or talked face to face. Go. There's nothing wrong with porn stars. I love porn stars. We have porn stars on the show. Nothing wrong with it. But spare me the nonsense about how you feel burned by Tiger Woods because he didn't personally apologize to you in the middle of his press conference about how he cheated on his wife. Okay, you would imagine there'd be some bounds of reason. Oh, we got tape on this? Uh-oh. Yeah, let's see where it picks up. Amends. She has huge breasts.
He did not apologize by name to my client, Veronica.
Oh, no.
And I asked,
that's her real name.
Why no apology?
Because
Veronica had a 3-year romantic relationship with Tiger Woods. On September 9, 2009, he texted her, quote, great thing is we have a lifetime of this, end quote. On October 1st, 2009, he texted her, quote, baby, I'm not going anywhere or doing anything. You please me like no other has or ever will.
Pause. Go ahead. And my client was lied to. He texted her, baby. He said, baby, I like hitting it. I'm going to stay right here and keep on hitting it. And then all of a sudden we've come to find out that he's married and he's got all these other mistresses and we don't even get an apology in a press conference. Where do we get paid, man? Who's getting paid around here? Okay. I hope he doesn't pay her, man. You bet Tiger, man. That would piss me off more than anything else Tiger Woods has done is if he pays this woman. Okay, let me see some more of her breasts. I mean, listen to Gloria.
Her primary source of income, her only source of income, as a porn star because Tiger was very jealous, and he could not stand the thought of her being with another man.
I would be open to a telephone apology from Tiger.
Oh, you're so
But
kind.
I really feel that I deserve to look at him in person, face to face,
Oh, my God.
in his eyes, because I didn't deserve this.
And I remember when you looked at my brown eyes.
I've had to deal with a lot and too much from him and because of him. It never had to come to this. He knows that I was very straight and honest with him, but for a long time he lied to me. I never wanted to cause Elin, Sam, or Charlie any pain, but I'm not the sole cause.
No.
Tiger pursued me, and over time I fell in love with him. And he told me he loved me too. I'm so sorry for my part in any of their pain, being Sam,
awesome.
Elin, and Charlie. But I can't help that I fell in love with him. You can't help who you love.
Oh, go.
I just wish I was told the truth, and then I would have made other choices. Tiger, however, hid many things from many people. Thank you.
Honey, why did you go into porn? That's Academy Award-winning stuff right there, man. I was not told that he had 17 other bitches on the side. No one ever told me that. Did you get a sense he might be lying to you when he was married, and very publicly so, and everybody knew that, and that he would only see you when he was in town for one night at a time? Did that give you any clues as to what was happening here? Come on, man. Come on. These people are milking it. They're milking it for everything it's worth. JR.
I hate to continue this, but what part of his apology did I didn't see the whole 14 minutes of Tiger Woods' apology? Did he say, and that Jocelyn James, that trick, it's all her fault. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have screwed all those other women. You know what? If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have done all this stuff. You know, it wasn't me getting away from my Buddhism. It was her. That skank. When did that happen?
No, that didn't happen, JR. But apparently what she was looking for was a specific personal apology. To come out and say, I'm sorry to my wife, I'm so sorry to Nike and my sponsors and everybody, and I found Buddha and Jocelyn James, the porn star, who I was banging but only a couple times, 3 or 4 times, and then to Jamie Jungers and Jamie Jugheads and Betty Bazongas, and I'd like to apologize to all of them because I hit it and quit it, and I should have come around more, and all my texts were lies, because it turns out I'm a dog. Yeah, that's how the press conference was going to go. All right, it doesn't matter. They don't believe any of this stuff. Anyway, they're just looking for money. All right, look, we had a fun segment. That's what happened there. Okay, everybody calm down. Come back. We'll do some politics. Some progressives getting a little strong. That should be a good thing, all right? And you know what? I'm going to give you Arnold, too. Arnold's interesting things. Okay, all of a sudden, turning right back around, coming around the right direction. Interesting. Young Turks. All right, back on the Young Turks. More fun stories ahead for you guys. Let's get to it. Van Jones. He's back. Hey, that's awesome. So I saw the story that he was going to get hired. And so I was really excited. I was like, who's going to have the nerve to hire Van Jones? Because should he be hired? Absolutely. He didn't do anything wrong, right? But you know how liberals and progressives are. Oh, my God, what if Glenn Beck in Texas? We're so scared. Credit where credit is due. Nicely done. Center for American Progress. Rehiring Van Jones. He used to work there before. He's going to work on a green opportunity initiative, because that's what his expertise is. Look at this communist. Look at this truther communist. His project is going to be the Homestar program that would provide federal incentives to make homes more energy efficient. Aha! Maoist. Okay. So it makes perfect sense. That's what he's... like I said, that's what he's an expert in. Jones was also going to receive an image award from the NAACP. So they're not running away from him. Center for American Progress is the largest think tank on the left side. They're not running away from him, and it's great to see some people on the left with some spine. So great job in hiring him. Now, more good news about Democrats growing a spine. First of all, in the House, they decided, hey, that antitrust exemption that the healthcare industry has, that doesn't make no kind of sense. So, yeah, we'll do the rest of the healthcare bill in a second. But you know what? We're going to just do this bill right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to challenge the Republicans, okay? you go ahead and you get on the record and vote for the healthcare industry to have a monopoly. Really? You're going to vote that way? Go ahead. Make my day. Right? And guess what happened? When they grew a spine and they did the right thing, they won. Easily. They crushed. It was bipartisan. You know what the vote was? 406 to 19. Because the Republicans didn't want to sign their next to the dotted line saying, oh, yeah, no, the insurance companies should have monopolies so they can raise their rates as much as they like. Of course not, right? Now, of course, the 19 that did vote that way were all Republicans. Of course. And you got to give them credit. They got nerve on them, right? And that's what Anthony Weiner says. So in the middle of the debate, he came out and said, quote, you guys have chutzpah. He said, the Republican Party is a wholly owned subsidiary of the insurance industry. Now, I love that because that's like almost quoting me, right? So we are like-minded. I totally agree with that. But the funny thing is the Republicans got their panties in a bunch. They're all like, oh, my God, how could you say that about us? Take it back. And sometimes they do this in Congress. They get to third grade level, and they're like, Susie shouldn't have said that. Unless she takes it back, I'm not talking to her anymore. So apparently, according to the rules, he can't. I don't know. He has to take it back or something. So Anthony Weiner says, okay. I asked for unanimous consent to rescind that from the record. I would instead like to say, quote, every single Republican I have ever met in my entire life is a wholly owned subsidiary of the insurance industry. Yeah, the elbow from the sky. How do you like that? Okay. He's like, well, I don't want to be overly broad. I'm just telling you about my experience, right? And then, of course, the Republicans again were like, oh, can you say that? That's not fair. That's not right. You're hitting us too hard. So then, for technical reasons or something, he had to rescind it again. Okay. He's like, you want me to do another statement? If you want, I can call you out by names. So, look at what happens when you come strong. Looks like you win easy. In fact, you get bipartisanship. One to grow on. All right, one more thing about this. Don't get too excited about this. There's something weird about it. The fact that they have the antitrust exemption is crazy, and of course they shouldn't have, and of course I'm in favor of this bill. But the insurance industry doesn't seem to care too much about this one because they don't fight this one that hard. Their subsidiary, Joe Lieberman, let's put it that way, in the Senate, they even let him vote against this. So whenever it comes to the public option, the insurance industry is like, no, right? Wait, do I have something like that, right? Mom, why did you do that to me? That's not really right, but that was fun anyway. Okay, we have another no one. Anyway. Oh, here it is, yeah. No. So that's what happens whenever you mention the public option and the insurance companies are in the room. You mention taking away their antitrust exemption, they're like, we'll let you slide on that one. That's why you get the 406 to 19 vote. So it's both. Democrats take it strong, and the insurance industry, for whatever reason, doesn't think it's that big a deal. So, but hey, look, it's a win. I'll take the win and I'll run with it. God bless. Go over to the Senate side. Let's get that passed. And who knows? Maybe it does more damage than the insurance companies realize. By that I mean maybe we get actual competition in the country, which to the insurance companies is like, oh my God, how can we have these obscene profits if we have competition? But hey, look, let's give it a shot, see what happens. So I'm very happy about that. Now, we're loaded today of stories of Democratic strength. The Democrats are meeting with CEOs, some of the top CEOs in the country. We got John Castellani, president of the Business Roundtable. We got David Coate, CEO of Honeywell International. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase. Michael Duke, CEO of Walmart. I can go on and on. All the huge CEOs are in. Debbie Stabenow organized this, and this is where the Democrats are supposed to go and beg them and say, oh, please, we'll do whatever you want. We'll give you we'll deregulate. We'll outdo the Republicans. Just give us the money, right? And she's organized it partly as what can we do for business, big business, small business, etc. And what can you do for us? And we've covered these before. Republicans do it, Democrats do it, right? But something different happened this time around. Harry Reid got a little upset, and apparently, and was like, well, look. We aim to pass bills that are going to help small business. It seems like you guys are against that for some reason. And you keep claiming, and the big businesses thing is, oh, no, you don't understand. Big business helps small business. in reality, usually big business crushes small business, but that's a different point. They're like, no, for every big business, it creates 2 small business jobs. And look, and they have some valid points. Let's be fair about it. Like, for example, in Michigan, where Stab and I was from, if you have GM, which is a huge business, then, you know, that creates the guys who create the parts, which might be a small business, the hot dog vendor outside the plant, that's a small business, et cetera, right? So there's some validity to their argument, but it looks like they're trying to work against legislation that would help small businesses because they want an even bigger advantage. So Harry Reid is against that, which is, you know, good for Harry Reid. And he made his little point, and apparently he was stern with them. And then he's like, yeah, well, that'll do it. I'm out of here. And he walked out. People were like, look at Harry Reid. What's going on around here? First thing I thought when I read the article is, that's a great plant. Like, if I'm Harry Reid and I'm down 14 points in Nevada, I so want a news story that says I'm standing up against big business, where I made my point and then I said, hey, here's your proposal. And that's what I think of it. And I walked out. You get that? You got it? Okay, great. Write it up. Okay. Now, I'm probably being a little too cynical, you know, but and it didn't smell like it was a constructed leak, and I could tell when something is an obvious leak, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm probably being a little too harsh on Reid. But you know what? Hey, look, again, I'll take it. If they don't actually do what big business asks them every single time, including giant tax breaks that big business is looking for, the proof's in the pudding. The bottom line is if Reid doesn't allow it, and he did take some important tax breaks out of the jobs bill initially, which was all going to go to giant companies, and by a lot of economists' estimation, wasn't going to help the economy overall, but was going to help those big businesses, et cetera. So he delivered a little bit on the results as well. So you got to give him credit on that one. Harry Reid, the line is back. And, you know, it's about time, politically speaking, because I don't care if he's by nature weak or not or whatever. Look, you got an election coming up, son, okay? And you got to figure out a way to show people that you're fighting for them and that you're on their side. You're on the little guy's side. They're the ones that are going to do the voting, right? So if it means you actually stand up for them, I would say for a change, great. I'll take it. I wish you had an election every year. All right, so now we go all the way to the other side of this, to Republicans doing the right thing. I'm going to get to Arnold in a second. But first, on Joseph Gao is the one Republican that's in a heavily Democratic district. It's down in Louisiana. He won because his opponent wound up having $90,000 in the freezer and got indicted. Okay, so he stepped in and he won. It's an overwhelmingly Democratic district. But he said, look, I'm going to be bipartisan. I'm going to, you know, be reasonable and moderate, et cetera, et cetera. And when he got to Congress, he wasn't. He, with the exception of one vote initially, he wound up voting with the Republicans the whole time. And people were like, well, what are you doing here? I mean, you're going to get killed in the next election. You haven't voted with the Democrats at all. This whole, you know, bipartisan moderate thing, this was a fraud, right? And and I remember talking on the show, and I think it was with Michael, and we're like, why? Why doesn't he do any Democratic votes, you know? Because it would be smart politically. Otherwise, he's going to get killed in his district, right? So why won't he do it? Well, this explains why he won't do it. Because, and this is a very good story out of the Associated Press, because he did wind up doing it. He wound up being the sole Republican that voted for the health care bill in the House. So that was bold, and to me, it's not that much. I mean, if he voted against that, that's crazy. He's guaranteed loss in one term, or et cetera. And then if he doesn't vote for that really watered-down health care bill, what the hell does he vote for, right? So he did that. Now, here come the consequences. And this is why people always stick with the Republican Party and they never break ranks. So all of a sudden, his fundraising dropped off a cliff. He lost 40% of his fundraising from quarter to quarter after that vote. Now, he's losing money from just average conservative citizens around the country where he would be raising money from them. And behind the scenes of that is interesting because they've got a system set up. They've got a machine, right? And you go to these certain Republican consultants, and they send out flyers and mailers, et cetera, saying, oh, you know, the Democrats are the worst. They're killing your grandmother, and they're driving a spike through, you know, your families' heads, and they got their boilerplate, right? But Joe Gao is standing up to that. Except in the boilerplate, it talks about how healthcare reform is going to kill and destroy everyone in the country, but Gao voted for healthcare reform, right? So he can't do that. And one of the attacks was too harsh, and he said, oh, we can't do that. So now the Republicans are like, well, this is what we got. We got hate. And if you don't fit this, how do we raise money for you? It doesn't make any sense. And then he loses institutional money. So all those corporations who usually give money to the Republicans to do their bidding, well, they don't like the way Gao voted on that one, so he loses their money. So now how is he going to win? He's already in a Democratic district. Now he doesn't have any money. And that's why they never step out of line. That's why they always vote with the Republicans, no matter what they said they were going to do. Okay, not always, and sometimes you get the right thing, a Republican doing the right thing, and we're going to talk about that right now. But now you understand the institutional reasons why there's a price to pay, and why they're never bipartisan, generally not bipartisan because of that. Now, having said that, all the credit in the world to, of all people, Scott Brown came out and voted for the jobs bill. And, oh, man, are they livid on the right. Oh, they're like, you scum of the earth, lying, filth, piece of dirt. We shall have our vengeance. These are on his Facebook page, all over the internet. I mean, this is becoming like Epic Beard Man, and they're going mental on him, and they got pictures of him, being a traitor and all this stuff. So that infatuation with Scott Brown, instantly done. Glenn Beck spent 5 minutes ripping him apart. You know what he called him? I hope you're sitting down for this. He called him a progressive Republican. That means, of course, he's with the communists and the fascists and the Maoists. So he said, I never trusted that guy in the first place. So all of a sudden, Scott Brown went from, he's going to run for Republican, he's going to run for president with the Republicans, to, okay, scum of the earth, and not invited anymore to a damn thing on the Republican side. But give him credit for that. It is a courageous vote. Do we have time for Schwarzenegger? We do. And look at Schwarzenegger on this week, going after the Republicans himself. Loaded with the Republicans doing the right thing. Clip number 2.
He scared employers, so jobs were scarce. His nearly $1 trillion stimulus created not one net new job in the private sector.
Governor Schwarzenegger, that is where the Republicans are. The stimulus was a failure, and it did not create one net new job in the private sector. True?
Well, to me, I find it interesting that you have a lot of the Republicans running around and pushing back on the stimulus money and saying this doesn't create any new jobs. And then they go out and they do the photo ops and they're posing with the big check and they say, isn't this great? Look what the kind of money I provide here for the state, and this is great money to create jobs, and this has created 10,000 new jobs, and this has created 20,000 new jobs, and all of those kind of things. It doesn't match up. So exactly. So I mean, I think
hypocrisy at the highest level.
I think I don't want to beat up of my Republican colleagues, but I think it's kind of politics rather than thinking about only one thing, and this is how do we support the president? How do we support him and do everything that we can in order to go and stimulate the economy, get the economy back, and think about the people rather than politics? I have been the first governor of the Republican governors to come out and to support the stimulus money, because I said to myself, this is terrific, and anyone that says that it hasn't created a job, they should talk to the 150,000 people that have been getting jobs in California.
Private sector?
Yeah, from the private sector and also from the public sector. I mean, if it is teachers, if it is university professors, if it is people that are building infrastructure and stuff like that. I mean, there's in every category, there's jobs that have been created in California. 150,000.
Arnold never doesn't sound funny. Always sounds funny. And 150,000 jobs created in California. I can't really do it, but it's awesome. But look at this. Arnold Schwarzenegger, sounding like Rachel Maddow. Okay? She made the same points the week before on This Week, calling out Republican hypocrisy. I'll take it, man. That's real bipartisanship. Nicely done, Arnold. Young Turks. Back on the Young Turks. It is the third hour. I'm super excited about the stories we've got in this hour. But furthermore, I'm super excited about my guest co-host today. Jackie Bray's back. Okay. Now, Jackie is, of course, one of the hosts of Two Jacks in the Hole. You can follow her on Twitter at Jackie_Bray. Jackie, by the way, is Jacki. Okay?
That's right.
You're going to see that in the graphics. So, Jackie, it's been a while. It's an absolute pleasure to have you back.
It's so great to be back. Thanks for having me be back here. I'm so excited.
Okay, now, did I miss the tattoo last time, or is that new?
That was there last time. Maybe I covered it.
Oh, interesting, interesting. I see you now. I see you. No, it's not a big deal, everybody. It's not a neck tattoo of a butterfly.
No, it's not a gang sign. So
okay. It appears to be just a J.
Oh, it's a T. It's
a T.
I have my grandparents' initials.
Oh my God, how schmoopy is that?
Yeah.
That is very, very sweet.
Thank you.
Okay, I never even considered it. Sorry, Grandma and Grandpa. Well, now they've all passed away, so they're all right.
Yeah, they're cool with it.
Okay, and everybody says it, and I probably said it last time too, right? I mean, you guys get that Two Jacks in the Hole sounds dirty, right?
I'm starting to hear that more lately. But I never really thought it sounded dirty at all.
Really?
No.
Oh, you're so innocent.
I guess.
You're so innocent. That's even better.
I thought it was, when I first tried getting on the show, I thought maybe both their names were Jack, but it's not. So
their names aren't Jack, and they're not even in the hole.
No.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Okay. All right. You guys should check that out. Where can they check that show out?
They can check it out at www.twojacksinthehole.com. We're actually having a show tonight at 8 to 10.
Okay, that makes Pacific time.
Pacific time, yes.
Okay, so that makes perfect sense for everybody. All right. So let's get started. We got great stories. First, about a killer whale, obviously.
Yeah. Well, this killer whale killed a trainer during a SeaWorld show. Just totally reverted back to its old free ways. And I guess right when the show started, the trainer accidentally fell into the tank, and it kind of threw off the killer whale, and he just went after her and eventually killed her, which is so unfortunate. That really makes me not want to visit SeaWorld anytime soon. But
well, no, that makes me want to visit it, actually.
Really?
Because it turns out the killer whales are actually killers. Yeah. They're not playing. That's not just a name, okay? And I get the same kind of thing that Dave does. Now, of course, it's terrible. She died, right? And so we feel terrible about that. Now, having said that, Dave enjoys the earthquakes and the fires and the et cetera. Because he's like, look, that's nature striking back. Okay, we think we're so tough and smart, right? And we got these whales doing hula hoops and doing tricks and stuff, and we're like, oh, look at the cute killer whales.
I agree. I mean, I do not like animals in captivity. I enjoy zoos, but I don't like them. So, I mean, it's a killer whale. What do you really expect from it?
Yeah, and it turns out if you don't jump in the pool, because he might look cute while he's doing those backflips, but the minute you jump in that pool, he's going to eat you.
But he's a 7,000-pound killer.
Don't it, JR?
So, I read up a little bit about this. I was amazed you guys are doing this, but...
Okay. No, well, look, you do the research on this shit. That makes sense.
Well, yeah, only because this particular one is responsible for 3 people. This is the 3rd person that's killed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
1991, 1999, and then now this one. And that was one of the big deals about it. It was at different parks, and they got transported. Now it's at this one in Orlando. And
it's like one of those priests that used to do the pedophilia and stuff. They just keep moving it around.
Send them to other churches.
Yeah. The thing is, the first one was a part-time trainer, and she was in the pool, and it grabbed her when she was outside. And then the second one, this guy went in after hours, and I guess he just wanted to play. He was probably a little off. And they found him the next day. And they said the whale thought he was a play toy because there were scrapes from him, the way he kind of bit him around his waist and kind of took him around the pool. So that he probably thought he was a play toy. And this last one, they say they don't realize that people can't hold their breath the way that they do underwater, so they keep him down there for a while because it's a trainer, so it probably knows him. It's worse with her all the time. So this particular one, they're saying he's not this is the inference I got. He's not out there to kill you. He's not trying to eat you. He's playing with you, and then he happens to kill you because he's 12,000 pounds.
So he's like the Lenny of whales, for mice and men.
Oh,
like nice human, nice human. Now, look, the other possibility is once he got a taste of human flesh, she's like, this thing's delicious, man. The minute it falls in the pool again, I'm going to go to work, right? And he's like, oh, this one wants to play again. Okay, come on, let's play. Right? Now, look, the reality is I'm sure that the people that are reporting what JR read are probably right. And, of course, you know why it doesn't know that it can kill you? Because it's a whale and not a human being. It doesn't know.
He doesn't know any better.
Yeah, it's like those tigers and the pit bulls and stuff. Everybody always says, oh, they never killed anyone before. until they killed this time because they don't know what they're doing.
Oh.
Now, have you guys ever been to SeaWorld? There's one in San Diego, as we all know. Have you guys been to that one?
Yeah, I've been to that
I
one.
did this. I went there once in college, and they did this. It was like Boy Who Cried Wolf thing. As soon as I read this, I was like, oh, because there was a show. There was part of the show where the trainer acted like she fell in on an accident, and everybody's like, and then she comes shooting out on the nose of the whale, and we're like, ah! And I was like, was this that show? And then it came out totally wrong, because that's what I thought. As soon as it happened, I was like, dude, this is still a killer whale. Like I wasn't clapping. I was like, dude, y'all shouldn't do that.
Well, I think it's safe to say that's cut from all the other shows. They won't be doing that trick anymore.
Yeah, probably not. No, I love the extra caution that JR has with all these kind of things. He's like, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to jump in the pool with a ha he he with a killer whale and see how it turns out. Okay, I'm going to leave that to somebody else and see what happens. Now, look, and maybe it's because I'm a bitter man because I never, when I was a kid, I never went to the zoo. I'm calling you out, Dogan. My dad's in the studio, okay? You never took me to the zoo, right? So now, you know, I've never got into, oh, look at the killer animals, aren't they nice?
Oh, yeah.
That was not part of my childhood, so I don't know if there's some weird repressed anger I have about it. But anyway, of course we feel, and I'm not playing when I say that, we feel terrible for the woman, of course, and her family and stuff. And they're obviously broken up about it. But hey, look, you know, these are, you know, creatures of the wild, and when we try to tame them, we don't always do as good a job as we thought. So you got to have a little bit of respect for the animals too.
Yeah, I think they should just set this one back into the ocean. Just let it kill, and let it kill just for food.
Yeah, I mean, this dude can do a lot of damage in the ocean. You know, sometimes they're afraid, oh, if you release it in the wild, it got too soft. You know, like if you live in LA for too long, you get too soft. You can't go back to Baltimore. But this fella's, he's all right, man. You let him go in the Pacific Ocean. He's like, get out of the way. Get out the way, yo. Get out the way.
He'll hold his own.
Yeah, Jared, do we have his name or anything? No?
I had it.
Because my article didn't have it. So
I had it. They call him two different things.
He ain't Willie, though, that's for sure.
It's definitely not Willie.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't find it in mine either, but.
All right. We'll effort that later in the program for you. Okay. All right. So then we move on to the Olympics.
Okay. Well, Sven Kramer, he is one of the speed skaters, and his coach actually wrote something on his board during the race, and it cost him the gold medal. He changed lanes, and it was a total, what I'm hearing, an elementary mistake, something you should not be making in the Olympics, and totally cost him the gold.
All right. Now, I love this story for a number of reasons. Okay. One, I'm not a big fan of Sven Kramer. We did a story on him before where NBC reporter comes up to him and says, hey, can you say your name and your country into the tape? Because a lot of times as you're taping someone, you have them just say that into the tape so they can easily identify it later for editing. Apparently Sven doesn't know that, and he thinks the whole world should know him. And he said to the reporter, are you stupid? Okay. Now, so he's known as the are you stupid guy. Oh, that's got to hurt, Sven. That's got to hurt going in the wrong lane. And now they're saying this is one of the biggest boneheaded maneuvers in almost in Winter Olympics history, certainly within his sport. Now, to be fair to Sven, you read the article and find out what happened. And it turns out it wasn't really his bad.
Right.
And he listened to his coach, right?
Yeah, one of his side coaches got a little confused about where he was at, but I mean, I don't really think any of that's an excuse. This is the Olympics.
Jackie's tougher than I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the Olympics. You don't mess around, you know. I think this is just karma. This is just what happens.
Yeah, and look, after he got famous for calling someone stupid, to pull this move, I mean, Jackie's right to somebody. Of course, you know, you got to listen to your coach, and that's a tough break, and obviously the coach's fault to a large degree, but you're in the race. Because apparently they go inside lane, outside lane, inside lane, outside lane, and he knows he just did that lane.
Exactly.
Right? So he knows he's supposed to do the next lane. Now, I feel bad for him anyway, even though I'm now randomly against the dude, right? Okay, but I feel a little bad for him. But again, at the end of the story, Jackie, I stopped feeling bad for him because they explained that after it was over and his coach told him, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He would have won otherwise, okay?
Right.
It looks like he would have won. He threw down his glasses and apparently like kind of pushed off the coach a little bit, right?
Yeah.
See,
he definitely knew it was that coach's fault, but I mean, you have nobody else to blame but yourself when you're in the actual race. I mean, and that's a sore loser.
But, yeah, and plus, you know, if somebody made that kind of mistake, obviously it costs you a gold, that's huge. I get it. Of course you're going to be tremendously upset. But in the middle of the cameras and everything, that guy is also devastated. That coach is absolutely, positively devastated at his mistake. What you don't do is push him, you know. And look, you know, that's how it's reported. People who saw it could judge better whether it was an actual push or not or whatever. Right. But you got to be, at that time, console him a little bit too. I think if you're a decent human being.
Exactly. I think it's definitely a team effort, you know, and so you shouldn't be going about it that way. That's poor sportsmanship. That's something you learn in, you know, 5th grade soccer. You know, you're supposed to shake everybody's hand. That's right, Jackie, but apparently Sven missed 5th grade soccer, even though he thinks he's the shiznit,
right?
I think he probably did.
He's like, you don't know who I am? I just won the gold. I'm Sven Kramer. Are you stupid? Oopsie doopsie.
Oh, that's bad. I really don't like these sore losers. I think that's just in bad taste. You're at the Olympics. Just be glad you're there.
I'm right there with you. And, you know, he was supposed to win 3 golds, and it looks like now he'll only win 2 golds. You'll be all right, Sven. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Why, Jesus, you enjoying that picture? What's that?
Oh, totally. After the way he acted in that interview, totally.
Yeah. Oh, what happened now, Sven?
Yeah, exactly.
What happened now, Sven? Are you stupid? Okay, we're going to get a lot of hate for that. That's going to be great.
That's okay.
All right, what's next?
The next story is the Olympian Yevgeny Plushenko awarded himself a platinum medal after not winning the gold.
Jackie, I wasn't aware there were platinum medals in the Olympics.
Aren't.
Oh, there aren't. Wow.
He just felt that he deserved the gold so bad, and that Evan Lisayak, who actually won the gold, just did not deserve it. And so he tried going above the Olympics, which has never been done before. I think this is another just poor, sore loser that is trying to just, you know, keep himself in the headlines, and that's not the way to go about it. I mean.
So he's kind of like the Lady Gaga of the Olympics. He just needs to put a phone on his head and a bird's nest and stuff. He's just trying to grab attention anyway.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, he's throughout the article I read that he believes he should win because he did a quadruple jump, and that Lisayak didn't do one. But you know, throughout his whole routine, he wasn't flawless. He misstepped. He fumbled a little bit. So in my eyes, you don't deserve to win the gold if you're going to mess up. Somebody who did a flawless routine deserved the gold, and they won. You know,
I'm not in a position to judge between how important a quadruple jump is as opposed to the triple jump, and you know, did you bob and weave your ass in the wrong place? Damn it, Jim, I'm a talk show host. I'm not an Olympic judge. Okay, now having said that, my guess is that if you got the silver, that's what you got. Okay.
And what's so wrong with the silver?
And silver's, you know, look, you know, it's a lovely piece of gold. No, not really. No, lovely metal, I should say, and not such a bad way to go. Look, I guess my only problem with this, look, it cuts 2 ways. One, he's trying to grab some attention, and you know, don't hate the player, hate the game. So I don't mind it. He's having a little bit of fun. He's a character, right? The flip side is it's a little demeaning to the guy who won the gold. Like, you only did a triple jump. Oh, yeah, you should have done a quadruple jump. Oh, yeah? I give myself a flat. And then you're like, dude, I don't know about that, right? Yeah. So I'm a little torn on it. But overall, since he's adding a little zest to the Olympics, in my infinite mercy, what's this? Plushenko, you are pardoned. God, am I not merciful? Am I not merciful?
You're being a little nice. A little too nice.
Yeah. And I'll tell you the second reason for the pardon. Because these Olympic sports that rely on the judges, okay, there's value in them. And I know some people love them, right? But it's like, who knows? Who knows if that dude's ass moved or didn't move in the middle of that thing, and then the East German judge comes in with the thing and the other one, and et cetera, et cetera. I like games where, you know, you punch someone in the mouth, and then you take the ball and you put it in there, right, wherever that is, and then you win.
There are designated points and there are rules. I'm the same way.
Right. And then afterwards, there's not a dispute about, oh, who won the silver, who won the platinum. Okay? No, the ball, here, score, we win, you lose. Is that American enough for you guys? Is that stupid enough for you guys?
I think it's easily comprehended.
All right. JR, you know, you usually get at me for that, but you're going to leave it alone this time?
It's actually pointless too. I mean, come on. Because the thing is, no, I generally with things judged by with judges getting deciding a winner in an athletic event. Yeah, I generally have the same idea, but they have a system. And the thing is, one of the things he complained about was he said, well, I figured the sport should be progressing and not regressing like it is, because when you have quadruple jumps and then we're not scoring it that way, the way the scoring system is supposed to be as of late. He's went into all this detail about how he thinks it's supposed to be that way. And he starts at a higher scoring level. But as you said, he didn't do it.
Right.
He landed it, but it was shaky. Another guy had to go. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to kind of get mad at yourself. Damn, I'm better than this guy. I didn't prove that I was better than this guy.
Right, and you know what the thing is? I guess part of what bothers me a little bit about it is, look, you took some risk taking the quadruple jump, which is great on you, and I like that. I like risk takers, right?
Right.
But if it didn't quite work for you, I mean, it was great, but it was not good enough because the other guy was flawless. You knew you were taking that risk, right? So you got to live with the results of that risk, whether you win or you lose. And so, and as Jackie was saying, nobody likes sore losers, right?
Yeah.
It's the only reason I pardoned him is because everybody's having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I give a lot of these Winter Olympic, contestants a lot of credit. I mean, look at all the attraction they're getting. Everybody's tuning in now because they want to see who's gonna flip out when they get a silver, and I like the drama that these Winter Games are, giving me.
That's true. I mean, I haven't watched the thing. Actually, I watched curling the other day. I want to talk about that in a second. But are you watching the Olympics? And are you digging it?
I haven't really watched a whole lot. I used to be really big into figure skating, so I watched some of it, and I only watched I think the gold medal winner. I was lucky just to see his, and he was amazing. So, I mean, I'm liking it right now, but I think they're pulling in a bigger audience with these scenes they're causing.
Yeah, everybody likes drama, except Obama, apparently. But lately he likes it, too.
Yeah.
All right, JR, Mr. Professional Athlete, semi-pro athlete. Are you all over the Olympics, or?
Yeah, the only things, ironically, I don't really care about is the figure skating. And the thing is, when I was younger, the fact that my sisters and my mother all watched the figure skating, I was kind of forced to watch it. So that's all I really identified with Winter Olympics. And then when I had my own choice, I was like, why the hell were we always watching this? The best events are the racing ones, downhill with the skis and the snowboards. Those are the best events. It's great.
Well, people are dying on those, aren't they?
Well, they're dying on the luge. The luge, yeah.
Yeah, luckily my wife has not pulled me into any figure skating. Like, I think she forgot that it's on.
Oh, that's lucky.
So, like, I'm trying to be cool about it. Like, oh, no, we don't have to watch TV tonight. It's cool. We'll watch it later. Okay.
Yeah, no, I flipped to it last night in the women's short program. They were going crazy over it because there's this big, I guess, competition between the Japanese skaters and I think the Korean skaters. And the crowd is like going crazy. So one of them said, "Oh, she has the country on her shoulders." It's like, damn, really? Yeah. And I didn't get to finish see who won. They set up the whole drama, and I was like, I'd rather watch reruns of Family Guy. I don't know.
Oh, wow. That's tough.
I don't know. And the thing is, as you know, I love the Olympics, but I don't know. That particular event didn't do it.
So I wound up watching 2 or 4 or 5 minutes of that thing that everybody always talks about, that curling, right? And that I've never watched until this year.
Is that the one where they're with the brooms?
With the brooms, yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't want to offend Sarah Palin, but that's retarded. Okay, I mean, I watched it, right? Sorry, R word. Okay, and first of all, I mean, look, it looks easy, but I don't know. I've never curled before, but I mean, they just go like this in front of it, right, with the stupid brooms, and it seems to clear the ice, so it goes exactly where they want. Okay, and who invented this sport? I mean, who says, all right, let me take a big thing of whatever that iron thing is, put it on the ice, and then have 2 jackasses go like this in front of it with a broom? Okay. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. No. Under no conditions is that a sport. Under no condition. I'm sorry. I love you. Everybody's amused by it, so it's okay. I mean, I'm ready to give out a pardon, okay? Because everybody talks about it, and everybody's having fun, et cetera, et cetera. But it ain't no sport, okay?
Definitely not.
It's not a sport, okay? Although we had one of the curlers call in, and I said, "Are you a professional?" And he said,
"I'm a pro. That's what pros do. I'm a professional. Look it up in the book."
I said, all right, okay, what am I going to do with you?
All right.
Okay, let's take a quick break and come back with strippers. Young Turks.